The last promise I made to my husband, Henry, was simple. Finish the ocean house we designed together. Every beam, every window, every dream, drawn on diner napkins and coffee-stained placemats. 3 years later, I kept that promise. The $3 million home on the La Jolla coast wasn't luxury. It was love, carved into glass and cedar. But the day I finally moved in, my son-in-law called and barked. "Get the beds ready, Grandma. We're bringing 20 friends." He thought he was claiming a beach house. He didn't know he'd just challenged an engineer who never builds without a plan. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The doorbell rang at 4:17. I didn't move from the piano bench. My fingers rested on ivory keys. Henry's tide charts hung crooked on the wall. The Pacific stretched dark beyond the glass. 3 weeks from now, strangers would be living in my house. But that afternoon, I didn't know it yet. 3 weeks earlier, the cancer took Henry in March. We buried him under coastal oaks. His ashes went to sea later. That part was private. Just me and the pelicans and the water that raised him. He left me the ocean house. We'd designed it together on napkins at diners. Sketched beams on placemats. Argued over window heights while our coffee went cold. It took 42 years of marriage to afford it. Another 3 to build it. Glass and cedar. $3 million. Every inch a promise kept. I moved in alone that spring. 74 years old. Widow. Retired coastal engineer. Trustee of the Henry and Eleanor Grant Family Trust. The house smelled like salt and new wood. I walked through empty rooms. Touched the piano I no longer played. Straightened his charts. Opened windows to let the wind decide things. The light came in sideways at dawn. Henry used to say light remembers faces. I wanted it to learn mine before I left. That first month passed quietly. I drank tea on the patio. Watched the gulls work. Let the silence settle like sediment. Grief isn't loud. It's the opposite. It's the sound of one set of footsteps where 2 used to be. Grace called every Sunday. My daughter. 51. Married to Trevor Cole for 18 years. They lived inland. 2-story tract home. Granite counters. WA meetings. The kind of life that looks good in holiday photos. She always asked if I needed anything. I always said no. Then came the Monday in late April. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. Trevor's name lit the screen. Not Grace. Trevor. He never called me. I put him on speaker. Kept chopping vegetables for soup I wouldn't finish. His voice came through hard and fast. "Listen up, Grandma. We're rolling in. Me and 20 friends. 3 weeks. You got 50 minutes to get beds ready. Towels. Food. The works." The knife stopped moving. I set it down carefully. Wiped my hands on a towel. The ocean kept breathing outside. Trevor kept talking. "This is happening. Don't make it weird. Grace is cool with it. We'll be there by 6. He hung up before I could answer. The dial tone hummed. I stood in the kitchen Henry built. Stared at vegetables I'd cut too small. My heart beat steady. No panic. No heat. Just a cold clarity I recognized from job sites. The clarity that comes when you see a structure about to fail. I'd felt it before. Standing on seawalls during inspections. Watching load paths crack under pressure. Knowing exactly where the break would come. This was the same. Trevor thought my house was his playground. Grace had signed something years ago. A waiver. Estate planning. Sensible on paper. Painful in practice. I'd given them $250,000. helped with their down payment, co-signed their mortgage. In return, Grace waived any occupancy rights to my primary residence. It made sense then. It made sense now. Trevor didn't know about the waiver. Grace probably forgot. I walked to the study. Henry's sextant hung on the wall. His navigation books lined the shelves. I pulled out the file marked Family Trust. The waiver sat inside. One page. Grace's signature at the bottom. I read it twice. Not because I doubted it. Because I needed to feel the weight of what came next. 50 minutes. I picked up my phone. Scrolled to Marcus Hale, property manager, Coastal Lux Management. We'd worked together on rental properties I'd consulted for. He answered on the second ring. I kept my voice level. Marcus, I need a short-term lease executed by tonight. 3 weeks. High-end clients. Security required. Bonded team. Contract treats this place like a museum. He didn't ask questions. On it, Ms. Grant. Send me the details. I hung up. Called Nora Delgado next. My attorney for 15 years. Sharp as broken glass. Patient as stone. She arrived by 3 with a steel briefcase. We sat in the study under Henry's sextant. Afternoon light slanted through the shutters. Outside, the pelicans dove. Nora opened the file without ceremony. You're trustee of the Henry and Eleanor Grant Family Trust. Fiduciary duty requires prudent management of assets. Hosting an unpaid, high-risk party for 30 people breaches that duty. Leasing to vetted tenants fulfills it. She slid the waiver across the desk. Grace signed this 2 years ago. When you gifted her the down payment money. She waived present and future occupancy rights. It's enforceable. I nodded. Nora watched me. Her eyes were kind but unsentimental. Are you sure about this, Eleanor? The question sat between us. I thought about Trevor's voice. Listen up, Grandma. The casual cruelty. The assumption I'd bend. I thought about Grace. The apologies she carried like stones. The peace she made from other people's wreckage. I thought about Henry. The house we built. The promise I made. Yes, I said. I'm sure. Nora closed the briefcase. I'll coordinate with Marcus. You'll have a lease by tonight. The Yamamoto family. Tech executive. Wife. 2 children. Impeccable references. They'll treat your home with respect. She stood. Paused at the door. Eleanor. What you're doing isn't cruel. It's structural. You're protecting what matters. I didn't answer. After she left, I walked through the house. Every object had a story. Henry's lopsided ceramic vase. Our wedding photo. Grace's missing tooth grin framed in silver. I wasn't angry. I was drafting. Engineers don't fight forces. They redirect them. The clock read 5:30. 30 minutes until Trevor arrived. I made tea. Sat on the patio. Watched the sun turn the water to copper. Somewhere down the coast, a foghorn called. The house waited behind me. Glass and cedar and promises. I sipped my tea. Let the ocean teach me patience one more time. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The gravel crunched at 5:47. Not 6. Trevor arrived early to claim territory. I heard car doors slam. Voices rising. Laughter that didn't care who listened. The doorbell didn't ring. The front door exploded inward instead. Trevor filled the frame. Red cooler hoisted like a trophy. Sunglasses pushed up on his head. Tank top. Board shorts. Flip-flops tracking sand across my threshold. Party's here, he announced to the house. To me. To the ocean beyond. Behind him came the flood. Not 20 friends. Closer to 30. College age. Maybe younger. Tank tops and bikini straps. Beer cans already open. Music bleeding from a portable speaker. They poured through my entrance like water through a cracked hull. I stood near the kitchen. Watched them scatter. Claim spaces. Drop bags. Kick off shoes they should have kept on. Trevor swaggered past without looking at me. His eyes swept the living room. The view. The piano. He nodded like he'd built it himself. Grace came last. She slipped through the door sideways. Shoulders curved inward. Eyes already apologizing. That look I knew. The one daughters wear when they carry other people's choices. "Mom," she started. "Hi honey," I said. Nothing else. Just that. She flinched anyway. Trevor's voice boomed from upstairs. "Master bedroom's ours. This view slaps. No question in it. Just announcement. Possession by volume." Footsteps thundered overhead. Drawers opened. Doors slammed. Someone found the sound system. Tried pairing their phone. The Bluetooth circled. Searched. Failed. "Weird," a voice said. "Should work." I sipped my tea. Said nothing. The Wi-Fi icon spun endlessly on their screens. I'd throttled it that afternoon. Down to dial-up speeds. Enough to frustrate. Not enough to break. Henry taught me that. Systems have tolerances. You don't destroy them. You stress them precisely. The sun dropped toward the water. Coolers appeared on my marble counters. Pizza boxes stacked near the sink. Someone opened my refrigerator. Started rearranging shelves to fit their beer. The house absorbed them like a wound absorbs infection. I moved through the chaos calmly. Picked up a wet towel from the couch. Folded it. Set it aside. Not angry. Just noting damage patterns. Trevor planted himself in my kitchen. Opened my cabinets. Found glasses. Didn't ask. He poured something amber. Took a long drink. Finally looked at me. "You cool with all this, Grandma?" The name again. Not Eleanor. Not Ms. Grant. Grandma. Like I was furniture. Scenery. Background. "I'm fine," I said. "Make yourselves comfortable." He grinned. Thought he'd won. Behind him, Grace stood motionless. Her hands twisted together. She'd worn that same expression at her wedding. Smiling while drowning. The evening crawled forward. Music pounded from the speakers they'd brought. My sound system stayed silent. Locked out. They cursed the technology. Called it temperamental. I nodded along. These new systems are smarter than me. Showers ran upstairs. 4 people. 5. 6. The water heater labored. I'd set it low that afternoon. 80 gallons don't stretch far when everyone wants luxury. The 4th shower turned lukewarm. The 5th ran cold. Complaints drifted down. Broken water heater. Cheap setup. Typical boomer house. I wiped counters. Said nothing. Dinner came from delivery bags. Thai food. Pizza. Wings. The smell of grease settled into my curtains. Sauce dripped on my table. No one used coasters. I made myself a sandwich. Ate it standing by the window. The ocean rolled dark under a rising moon. Inside, someone suggested a movie. The streaming service buffered endlessly. That spinning wheel. Loading. Loading. Never arriving. "Internet's trash here," someone complained. Trevor shrugged. "We'll survive. It's about the vibes anyway." He sprawled across my couch. Feet up. Beer balanced on the armrest. Grace sat in the corner chair. Small. Folded. Watching me watch him. I met her eyes. Smiled gently. She looked away first. By 10, the noise reached full volume. Bodies on every surface. Music battling conversation. Laughter like breaking glass. A foam football appeared from somewhere. It arced across the living room. Someone lunged. Missed. Arms flailed. The ball clipped the mantel. Henry's ceramic vase wobbled. Time slowed. That peculiar physics of disaster. When you see the failure point but can't reach it. The vase tipped. Slid. Fell. It hit the hearth with a soft crack. Pieces scattered across stone. Blue glaze. Uneven clay. His fingerprints still visible in the base. The room went quiet. Not silent. Just quieter. Music still played. But voices stopped. Faces turned. Trevor walked over. Looked down at the fragments. Nudged a piece with his flip-flop. Then he laughed. "Relax, Grandma. It's just clay. I'll buy you 10 of those." The air thinned. I stood very still. Looked at the shards. Each piece a memory. Henry's hands. The pottery class I'd convinced him to take. How he'd hated it. Made one terrible vase. Been so proud. Trevor was already turning away. Already forgetting. Around him, his friends shifted. Some guilty. Some relieved it wasn't their fault. Some just drunk enough not to care. I bent down. Collected the pieces carefully. Each fragment separate. Salvageable. Maybe. Grace moved finally. Knelt beside me. "Mom, I'm so sorry. We'll replace it. I promise." Her voice broke on promise. I touched her hand. Brief. Gentle. Then stood with my broken pieces. "It's fine," I said. But something had shifted. The last bearing had cracked. I carried the fragments to my study. Set them on Henry's desk. Under his sextant. Near his charts. The house throbbed behind me. Music. Voices. Oblivious momentum. I pulled out my phone. Texted Marcus. "Ready for tomorrow. 9 a.m. Bring everyone." His reply came instantly. "Confirmed." I texted Nora next. "See you at 9. She sent a thumbs up. Nothing more needed. I looked at the ceramic pieces. Blue catching lamplight. Henry's thumbprint still visible. He'd made it ugly on purpose. To prove art wasn't his language. But he'd made it. Brought it home. Set it on our mantel. And Trevor thought he could buy 10. Outside my study, the party continued. Louder now. Emboldened. Taking more space. More volume. More presumption. I closed the door. Sat in Henry's chair. Let the quiet settle around me. Tomorrow would start at 9. The Yamamoto family. Marcus. Nora. Security. Contracts. Consequences. Tonight belonged to chaos. But chaos, like high tide, eventually recedes. I just had to wait for morning. The desk lamp hummed. Henry's charts lined the wall. Navigation routes he'd plotted. Courses he'd charted. Every line deliberate. I traced one with my finger. Engineers don't fight forces. We redirect them. The music pounded through the walls. Someone shrieked with laughter. Glass shattered somewhere. More apologies that meant nothing. I powered down my phone. Closed my eyes. Listened to the ocean beneath the noise. The water kept its own time. Always had. Always would. I could wait one more night. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Morning came gray and salt thick. I woke at 5:30. Same time as always. The body keeps its schedule even when the world tilts. The house breathed around me. Snores from the guest rooms. Someone coughing. The refrigerator humming under the weight of too much beer. I dressed in the dark. Navy slacks. White blouse. The blazer Henry liked. Professional armor for a professional eviction. Coffee first. My espresso machine sat on the counter. Gleaming. European. Expensive. The display blinked red. Descale required. I'd hidden the descaling solution 2 days ago. Behind the water heater. Wrapped in a towel. The drip coffee maker was all that remained. I filled it with grounds. Cheap beans from the grocery store. The kind that taste like burnt regret. Water hissed through the filter. Outside, fog pressed against the windows. The ocean disappeared behind gray. No horizon. No boundary between water and sky. I carried my cup to the living room. Carnage everywhere. Red cups on every surface. Pizza boxes stacked near the fireplace. A beach towel draped over Henry's reading chair. Sand ground into the rug. Someone had spilled something dark on the couch. The stain spread across cream fabric like a bruise. I sipped my coffee. Noted everything. Calculated nothing. This wasn't my problem anymore. At 6, I started moving pieces. The photo albums first. Our wedding. Grace as a baby. Henry's last good day before the hospital. Each album wrapped in bubble wrap. Sealed. Carried downstairs to the storage vault. The door was steel. Hurricane rated. I'd overbuilt it during construction. Henry thought I was paranoid. I told him I was thorough. Now it held everything that mattered. His navigation books. My engineering journals. The quilt his mother made. The watch he wore for 40 years. Grace's baby clothes I'd kept despite logic. Box after box disappeared into concrete and steel. The piano came next. I closed the lid. Draped it in canvas. Heavy cloth that smelled like dust and old sailboats. The keys disappeared. The music silenced. Henry used to play. Badly. Off tempo. Wrong notes. He'd laugh at his mistakes. Keep playing anyway. The canvas settled over everything. Upstairs, someone's alarm went off. Kept ringing. Finally stopped. No one stirred. I moved through bedrooms like a ghost. Swapped the down comforters for thin blankets. Plain. White. Institutional. The good towels vanished into the vault. Replaced by scratchy stacks from discount stores. The lavender soap I made myself. Gone. Grocery store bars appeared instead. The kind that dry your hands. Everything soft became hard. Everything personal became generic. The house transformed from home to hotel. Beautiful bones. Empty heart. By 7, I stood in my bedroom. The master. Where Trevor claimed the view. His duffel bag sprawled across my floor. Grace's suitcase sat primly by the closet. She'd unpacked. Hung clothes. Tried to bring order to chaos. I collected Henry's photo from the nightstand. His reading glasses. The book of tide tables he'd marked up with notes. My hands didn't shake. This was engineering. Load transfer. Redistributing weight before the structure failed. Downstairs, the espresso machine blinked its red warning. Descale required. The Wi-Fi router showed one dim light. The sound system sat dormant. Unpaired. Forgotten. Small frictions. Deliberate failures. Nothing dangerous. Just uncomfortable. Like sand in gears. At 7:30, I made toast. The good toaster was unplugged. Hidden. The backup was old. Unreliable. It burned the bread on one side. Left it pale on the other. I ate it anyway. Drank my bitter coffee. Watched fog lift slowly off the water. Pelicans emerged from gray. Dove. Surfaced. Continued their work. 8 o'clock brought the first sounds of waking. Footsteps overhead. A toilet flushing. Shower running. Then the complaint. Loud enough to carry. Water's cold. What kind of place is this? I rinsed my cup. Set it in the drainer. Said nothing to the empty kitchen. More people woke, stumbled downstairs, searched for coffee, found the drip pot, poured cups, tasted it, made faces. "This coffee's terrible," someone muttered. The espresso machine blinked at them. Mocking. Broken. Useless. Trevor appeared at 8:30. Shirtless. Scratching his stomach. Hair pointing in all directions. He walked straight to the refrigerator. Pulled out orange juice. Drank from the container. Wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "Morning, Grandma. Got any real coffee in this place?" "Machine's broken," I said. "Needs maintenance." He grunted. Drank more juice. Looked out at the fog. "Beach day's shot anyway. We'll just hang here." Around him, his friends assembled. Slow. Hungover. Searching for breakfast. The pantry yielded cereal. Stale bread. Peanut butter. Someone tried the sound system again. Pressed buttons. Swore. Gave up. Bluetooth's dead. Wi-Fi's trash. What decade is this house from? I wiped counters. Stayed quiet. Let them complain. Grace descended last. Makeup already on. Hair perfect. That armor she wore. The one that made her look fine when she wasn't. She caught my eye. Tried to smile. It didn't reach anywhere real. I poured her coffee. Handed it to her. Our fingers touched briefly. "Thanks, Mom," she whispered. The house settled into morning. Uncomfortable. Listless. The fog kept them inside. The broken technology kept them bored. Someone suggested cards. Someone else suggested day drinking. Trevor suggested both. By 9, they'd scattered throughout the house. Claiming spaces again. Making noise. Filling rooms with their restless energy. I stood on the patio. Watched the driveway through thinning fog. At 8:58, headlights appeared. A black SUV. Then another. Both gleaming despite the moisture. Both moving with purpose. They parked side by side. Doors opened in unison. Marcus emerged first. Navy suit. Crisp. Professional. A leather portfolio under one arm. Behind him, a family. 4 people moving like a single elegant organism. Mr. Yamamoto in linen that somehow wasn't wrinkled. His wife in a cream sundress. 2 children. Boy and girl. Maybe 10 and 12. Quiet. Observant. Perfectly still. They stood in my driveway looking at the house. Not judging. Just seeing. A third vehicle arrived. Nora's silver sedan. She stepped out in heels and a charcoal suit. Steel briefcase in hand. Behind her, 2 more people. Security. Polo shirts. Calm faces. Hands visible. Trained. The fog lifted another degree. The ocean became visible. Gray-green and patient. Marcus saw me on the patio. Nodded once. Professional recognition. I nodded back. Inside, laughter erupted. Someone had found something funny. The house vibrated with their oblivious momentum. Marcus checked his watch. 9 exactly. He walked to my front door. The Yamamotos followed. Nora brought up the rear. Security flanked them. A precise formation. I set down my coffee. Smoothed my blazer. Walked through the house to meet them. In the living room, a boy in gym shorts stood frozen. Cup halfway to his mouth. Staring at the strangers who'd materialized in the wreckage. His eyes went wide. His mouth opened. From upstairs, Trevor's voice boomed. "Who the hell just pulled up?" "Grace, you order something." I reached the door. Opened it fully. Stepped aside. Marcus entered first. The Yamamotos followed like water flowing around stones. Nora last. Deliberate. Inevitable. They stood in my entrance. Professional. Polished. completely out of place among the red cups and pizza boxes. The house held its breath. Footsteps thundered on the stairs. Trevor appeared, shirtless still, face red from yesterday's sun. Ready to reclaim territory. Ready to fight. He stopped 3 steps from the bottom. Stared. Marcus stepped forward, smiled politely, extended no hand. "Good morning, Mr. Cole." Marcus Hale. Coastal Lux Property Management. His voice carried. Professional. Final. Like a judge reading a verdict. Behind him, the Yamamoto children stood perfectly still. Watching everything. Judging nothing. The morning light changed. Fog burned away. The ocean appeared fully. And the house shifted from chaos to consequence. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Trevor's face shifted through colors. Pale. Red. Purple. Like a storm moving across skin. He came down the last 3 stairs. Bare feet slapping hardwood. Chest forward. Shoulders wide. Alpha posture. Dominance display. "Who the hell are you people?" His voice filled the room. Meant to intimidate. Meant to reclaim space. Marcus didn't flinch. Didn't step back. Just opened his portfolio. Smooth. Practiced. Professional. "Marcus Hale," he repeated. "I represent the property owner. And this is the Yamamoto family." He gestured to the 4 figures behind him. They stood like a portrait in expensive linen. The children's faces calm, curious, uncommitted. Trevor's eyes darted between them. Then to me. Then to Grace appearing at the top of the stairs. "What property owner? This is Grandma's house. We're family." The word family hung there. Claiming territory through blood. Through assumption. Marcus pulled a document from his portfolio. Heavy paper. Embossed letterhead. The kind lawyers use. "The Henry and Eleanor Grant Family Trust," he said. "Eleanor Grant, trustee. And these are the short-term tenants. 3 weeks. Fully executed lease." He paused. Let the words settle. Then added the number. $120,000. The room detonated. Not with sound. With silence. The kind that comes before avalanches. Trevor's friends froze. Cups halfway to mouths. Cards suspended mid-deal. Everyone suddenly aware of numbers. Of money. Of miscalculation. 120, someone whispered. For 3 weeks. Another let out a low whistle. Math happening behind hungover eyes. 4,000 a night. More than most made in a month. Trevor's color deepened. His hands curled. Uncurled. He turned to me. "You did this." Not a question. An accusation. His voice tight. Controlled. "I did my job," I said. As trustee. My voice stayed level. Engineer's tone. Reporting data. No emotion. Just facts. Grace descended the stairs slowly. One hand on the railing. The other pressed to her stomach. She reached the bottom. Stood beside Trevor. But not touching. A gap between them. Small. Significant. "Mom," she started. "What's happening?" Her voice small. Confused. Already bracing for impact. Nora stepped forward then. Heels clicking on my floor. She moved into the space like she owned it. Professional gravity in human form. "Nora Delgado," she announced. "Counsel for the Grant Family Trust." She looked at Grace. Not unkindly. But directly. The way surgeons look before cutting. "Grace. You remember signing something 2 years ago. When your mother gifted you $250,000. Grace's face went blank. That careful neutral she'd perfected. The one that meant she was drowning. Nora continued. "When she co-signed your mortgage. When she helped you buy your home." Still nothing from Grace. But her breathing changed. Faster. Shallow. You signed a waiver, Nora said gently. Voluntarily. Relinquishing any present or future occupancy rights in your mother's primary residence. The words dropped like stones into water. Spreading ripples. Changing everything. Trevor spun toward Grace. His face a mask of betrayal. Of rage barely contained. You signed what? 3 words. But they carried the weight of 18 years. Every resentment. Every power struggle. Every piece of control he thought he held. Grace opened her mouth. Closed it. No sound emerged. Around them, friends started shifting. Picking up phones. Glancing at exits. The calculation visible. Stay or go. Loyalty or survival. Nora pulled another document from her briefcase. Held it where everyone could see. Eleanor Grant's fiduciary duty as trustee requires prudent management of trust assets. Hosting an unpaid, high-risk party for 30 people violates that duty. It exposes the property to liability. Damage. Loss of value. She let that sink in. Then gestured to the Yamamotos. Leasing to vetted, insured tenants fulfills her legal obligation. The lease is executed, binding, and begins today. Behind Marcus, the 2 security professionals stepped forward slightly. Not threatening, just present, visible, trained. One of them spoke. Voice mild, almost apologetic. Sir, we'll need to give you time to collect your belongings. Trevor swelled. That thing men do when they think volume equals power. His chest expanded. His voice rose. You can't throw us out. We're family. This is illegal. I'll sue. I'll call the cops. Marcus raised one hand. Gentle. Absolute. The lease is legal, he said. Your presence is not. You were neither invited nor contracted. You have no occupancy rights. Grace signed them away. He nodded to the security team. They moved, not toward Trevor, just into position, flanking the door. Professional, patient, inevitable. Grace made a sound then. Small, broken, the kind of noise that comes when something inside finally cracks. Trevor, she whispered. I had to sign. Mom helped us. We couldn't afford the house without her. He rounded on her, face inches from hers, voice low, vicious. So you sold us out. For money. You sold your own mother's house out from under us. The logic twisted, illogical, desperate, blaming her for his miscalculation. Grace shrank. That telescoping collapse I'd seen before. Making herself smaller. Disappearing into apology. I stepped forward then. Between them. My body a barrier. Don't, I said. Quiet. Final. One word. But it carried 42 years of marriage. 30 years of field crews. Decades of men who thought volume meant authority. Trevor looked at me. Really looked. Maybe for the first time. Whatever he saw made him step back. Around us, his friends were already moving. Grabbing bags. Checking phones. The party dissolved like sugar in water. Fast. Complete. No residue. Someone muttered about getting out of here. Another said something about Uber. A girl near the kitchen whispered this is so messed up. But they moved. Toward doors. Toward exits. Toward anywhere else. Grace stood frozen. Tears tracking mascara down her cheeks. Her hands twisted together. That gesture from childhood. When she broke something. When she disappointed me. The Yamamoto children watched everything. Silent. Their faces showed no judgment. Just curiosity. Just witness. Their mother touched each child's shoulder. Gently. Reassuring. We'll wait outside, she said softly to Marcus. They moved toward the door. Graceful, unhurried, giving us space for our family's collapse. The security team followed them out. Professional discretion. They'd seen this before. Evictions, entitlement, family warfare. Only Marcus and Nora remained. Standing near the entrance, present but not intrusive, Trevor grabbed his duffel, yanked it so hard the zipper tore. He stuffed clothes inside, grabbed his phone charger, his sunglasses, his wallet, his movements sharp, violent, things thrown rather than packed. Grace didn't move, just stood there, tears falling, silent. Other friends filed past. Some muttered apologies, some avoided eye contact. One girl paused, touched Grace's arm, said she was sorry, meant it. The house emptied. Car doors slammed outside. Engines started. Gravel crunched under tires leaving. Trevor stood by the door. Duffel over one shoulder. Face still red. Still angry. But something else now too. Fear. Real fear. The kind that comes when consequences arrive. He looked at Grace. Jerked his head toward the door. "Let's go," he said. Sharp. Command. Grace didn't move. Trevor's voice rose. "Grace. Now. We're leaving." Still she stood there, rooted. Branches deciding whether to break or bend. The morning light shifted. Sun breaking through the last fog. Falling on her face. Illuminating the wet tracks. The smeared makeup. The exhaustion. "I'm not going," she said. 3 words. Quiet. Enormous. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. The words hung in the air. "I'm not going." Grace said it so quietly the ocean could have swallowed it. But everyone heard. Trevor froze. Duffel slipping down his shoulder. His face cycled through expressions. Disbelief. Anger. Calculation. "What did you just say?" His voice dropped low. That dangerous quiet men use before explosions. Grace lifted her chin. Just slightly. Just enough. "I'm staying here," she said. "With my mother." The room tightened. Marcus shifted his weight. Nora's hand moved to her briefcase. Ready for whatever came next. Trevor took a step toward Grace. His body language all threat. I moved between them again. Closer this time. My 74 years suddenly very present. Very solid. She said no, I told him. "You need to leave now." Trevor looked at me, then passed me to Grace. His jaw worked. Muscles jumping under skin. "Fine," he spat. "Stay with mommy. I'll be at Jake's. Call me when you grow up." He turned. Slammed through the door hard enough to rattle the frame. His footsteps pounded down the steps. Car door. Engine roar. Gravel spray. Then silence. Grace collapsed into the nearest chair. Put her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook. I knelt beside her. Joints protesting. Not caring. My hand found her back. Small circles. The same pattern from when she was 6 and had nightmares. Nora approached quietly. Set a business card on the table beside Grace. "When you're ready," she said gently. "Family law. Divorce. I know people who can help." Grace nodded without looking up. Tears dripped through her fingers. Landed on her jeans in dark spots. Marcus cleared his throat softly. "Ms. Grant, I'll bring the Yamamotos back in 20 minutes. Give you time." "Thank you," I said. He and Nora left. Professional. Discreet. Giving us space for grief. The door clicked shut. The house exhaled. Grace cried. Really cried. The kind that comes from somewhere deep. Years of it. Decades maybe. All the times she swallowed it. Made peace. Apologized. Disappeared. I held her. Said nothing. Sometimes silence is the only honest thing left. Eventually the tears slowed. She lifted her head. Mascara streaked. Eyes swollen. Beautiful anyway. I'm so sorry, Mom. I didn't know he'd do this. I should have stopped him. Her voice hoarse. Raw. Stripped of all its careful polish. You couldn't have stopped him, I said. Men like that don't stop. They just find new targets. She looked at me. Really looked. Seeing me maybe for the first time in years. You planned this, she said. Not accusing. Just understanding. The lease. The timing. The waiver. I did, I said. Because he was going to destroy this place. And you'd have apologized for him. Again. Fresh tears welled. She nodded. Knew it was true. The sun climbed higher. Light flooded the living room. Illuminated the damage. Red cups. Stains. Sand. Pizza boxes. The beautiful house wounded. Grace stood. Wiped her face with her palms. Looked around at the wreckage. Let me help clean, she said. Not now, I told her. The cleaning crew's coming. Marcus arranged it. She nodded. Sat back down. Lost. Untethered. 51 years old and suddenly without moorings. I made tea. Real tea. From the good pot I'd hidden. Poured 2 cups. Brought them to the living room. We sat together. Drank in silence. The ocean visible through the windows. Steady. Eternal. Unconcerned with human drama. What do I do now? Grace asked finally. Her voice small. Young. Whatever you want, I said. But you do it from a place of strength. Not apology. She held her cup with both hands. Like a child. Like someone learning to hold things again. I don't know how, she whispered. You learn, I said. Like everything else. One day at a time. Outside, a car pulled up. Marcus returning. The Yamamotos with him. Grace stood quickly. Smoothed her hair. Tried to fix her face. That automatic response. Looking presentable. Not causing trouble. Grace, I said gently. You can stay. Upstairs guest room. But you'll meet them first. With respect. She nodded. Straightened her shoulders. That posture I recognized. The one she wore to parent-teacher conferences. To job interviews. To hard things. The door opened. Marcus entered first. Then the family. Mr. and Mrs. Yamamoto. Their children. All 4 moving with that same quiet grace. They paused. Took in the chaos. Showed no judgment. Mrs. Yamamoto's eyes found Grace. Swollen face. Tear tracks. Trembling hands. Something passed between them. Woman to woman. Recognition of pain. You must be Eleanor's daughter, she said. Her voice gentle. Accented slightly. Kind. Grace nodded. Couldn't speak yet. I'm Keiko, Mrs. Yamamoto said. This is my husband Hiroshi. Our children Yuki and Taro. The children bowed slightly. Polite. Perfect. Grace bowed back. Awkward. American. But trying. I'm Grace, she managed. I'm so sorry about all this. The mess. Everything. Keiko smiled. Things can be cleaned. People are harder to mend. The simple truth of it broke something in Grace. She pressed her hand to her mouth. Nodded. Hiroshi spoke then. His English careful. Precise. We are grateful for your mother's home. We will treat it with honor. He looked at me. Bowed slightly. A gesture of respect. Peer to peer. I bowed back. Smaller. Acknowledging. The children stood quiet. Observing. Learning. Taro looked about 12. Yuki maybe 10. Both with their parents' composure. Marcus directed the cleaning crew inside. 4 people in matching shirts. They carried supplies. Equipment. Professional efficiency. They moved through the house like a surgical team, picking up cups, bagging trash, wiping surfaces, making the damage disappear. I showed the Yamamotos upstairs. The master bedroom, the view, the bathroom with its deep tub. Keiko touched the window frame, looked out at the Pacific, breathed deep. "This light," she said. "It's extraordinary. My husband designed this room for that light," I told her. "He wanted to wake up to it. Every day." She nodded, understanding. He had good taste. We went back downstairs. Grace had moved to the kitchen, stood by the window, staring out, lost in thought. The crew worked around her. Efficient, nearly invisible. The house transforming, coming back to itself. Marcus approached with his portfolio. Final paperwork, keys, instructions, emergency contacts. "Everything you need," he said. "Security team will do a perimeter check daily. Just a presence. Peace of mind." Hiroshi shook his hand. American style. Firm. Professional. "Thank you." Marcus turned to me. "All set, Ms. Grant. I'll check in tomorrow." He left. The crew finished. Carried out bags of trash. The house suddenly clean. Quiet. Ready. The Yamamotos stood in the living room, their luggage neat by the door, waiting for me to leave. Grace picked up her purse, her phone, the small bag she'd brought. "I'll get my things from upstairs," she said. "Take the blue guest room," I told her. "End of the hall. Clean sheets in the closet." She nodded, went upstairs, footsteps soft on the treads. I turned to Keiko. "Anything you need, call Marcus. Otherwise the house is yours." She smiled, bowed again. "We will care for it well." I believed her. Outside, my car waited. I'd arranged for it yesterday. Parked at the neighbor's house. Everything planned, everything prepared. Grace came down with her bag. We walked out together, mother and daughter. Neither of us looking back. The door closed behind us. The Yamamotos inside. The house shifting ownership. Temporary. Necessary. Right. "Where are you going?" Grace asked. "Henry's sister's place," I said. "In Encinitas. 2 weeks there. Then a hotel. Until the lease ends." Grace stopped walking. "Mom, you gave up your house. For me. Not for you," I said gently. "For us. For respect. For boundaries. For the thing we should have done years ago." She cried again. Quieter now. Cleaner somehow. We got in the car. Drove down the gravel drive. The ocean disappeared behind coastal sage and eucalyptus. Neither of us looked back. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Henry's sister lived in a Spanish bungalow 3 blocks from the beach. Pale yellow stucco, red tile roof, bougainvillea climbing the fence like it owned the place. Margaret met us at the door. 78. White hair in a bun. Reading glasses on a chain. Henry's eyes in a woman's face. She took one look at Grace and opened her arms. Grace went into them. Collapsed there. Margaret held her, patted her back, made soft sounds, the kind that need no translation. Come in," Margaret said. I made tea. Real tea. None of that herbal nonsense. The house smelled like lemon oil and old books. Comfortable clutter everywhere. Newspapers stacked on tables. Knitting in a basket. A cat asleep in sunlight. We sat in her living room. Drank tea from mismatched cups. The kind you inherit. The kind that survive generations. Margaret asked no questions. Just let us sit. Let the silence do its work. Outside, palm fronds scraped the roof. A rhythm like breathing. In, out, steady. Grace's phone buzzed. Once. Twice. 10 times. She pulled it out. Looked at the screen. Her face closed. Trevor, she said. 17 messages. 4 missed calls. Margaret raised one eyebrow. Trevor, she corrected gently. Grace almost smiled. Almost. The afternoon stretched long. We talked about small things. Margaret's garden. Her book club. The neighbor's dog who barked at shadows. Nothing heavy. Nothing that required decisions. Grace dozed on the couch around 3. Exhaustion finally claiming her. Margaret draped a quilt over her. The blue one Henry's mother made. We moved to the kitchen. Sat at the small table. Drank more tea. You did what needed doing, Margaret said. Not asking. Just stating. I did, I said. She nodded. Henry would be proud. You know that. The words settled somewhere deep. Behind my ribs. Where grief lived. He built that house for light, I said. Not for chaos. Margaret reached across. Touched my hand. Her skin papery. Warm. He built it for you. We sat quiet. The cat appeared. Wound around my ankles. Purring. What happens now? Margaret asked. Grace stays here tonight, I said. Tomorrow I'll take her to see Nora. Get legal advice. Start divorce paperwork. And you. I'll go to the Hilton near Mission Valley. 2 weeks. Until the lease ends. Margaret made a noise. Disapproving. You'll stay here. I've got 3 bedrooms. 2 of them empty. I started to protest. She waved me off. Don't argue with an old woman, she said. I'm older than you. I win. That night we ate soup Margaret made. Chicken. Vegetables. Bread from the bakery down the street. Grace picked at hers. Phone face down on the table. Still buzzing occasionally. You should block him, Margaret said. Matter of fact. Like suggesting salt. Grace looked up. Surprised. Block him, Margaret repeated. Men like that feed on access. Cut the line. Grace's hand moved to her phone. Hovered. Uncertain. I remember when you were 8, I said. You had that friend. The one who borrowed your toys. Never returned them. Broke your favorite doll. Grace nodded slowly. Amanda. You cried for days, I continued. Then one morning you told her no more. Set a boundary. Remember what happened? She stopped asking, Grace said. Found someone else to take from. Exactly, Margaret said. Trevor will find someone else too. That's what users do. Grace picked up her phone. Stared at Trevor's name. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Then she pressed block. Decisively. Finally. The phone went silent. Grace set it down. Exhaled. Like she'd been holding that breath for years. We finished dinner. Washed dishes together. 3 generations of women. Hands in soapy water. Comfortable silence. The cat supervised from the windowsill. Unimpressed with human drama. Night came cool. Marine layer rolling in from the Pacific. The world going soft and gray. Margaret showed Grace to the yellow bedroom. Clean sheets. Lavender sachet on the pillow. Nightlight in the bathroom. Grace hugged her. Held on long. Thank you, she whispered. Margaret patted her cheek. Sleep well, dear girl. Tomorrow's another day. She led me to the blue bedroom. Henry's old room. Where he slept as a boy. His model ships still on the shelf. I touched one. A clipper ship. Hand-carved. Detailed. He made that when he was 16, Margaret said. Took him all summer. Used to say it taught him patience. I picked it up carefully. The wood smooth. Loved. Every plank perfect. Keep it if you want, Margaret offered. He'd like that. I set it back. Gently. It belongs here. Where he made it. Margaret smiled. Kissed my cheek. Good night, Eleanor. The door closed. The room settled around me. Henry's childhood space. His beginnings. I lay in his boy-sized bed. Stared at his ships. His books. The pennant from his high school. All the things that made him before I knew him. Sleep came slowly. Broken. Dreams mixing with memories. Henry's voice. His laugh. The way he hummed while working. Dawn arrived gray and quiet. I found Margaret in the kitchen. Coffee brewing. Toast in the toaster. The newspaper spread on the table. Grace still sleeping, she reported. Let her rest. God knows she needs it. We ate breakfast together. Planned the day. Nora's office at 10. Lunch after. Small steps. Manageable pieces. Grace appeared at 8:30. Hair wet from the shower. Face scrubbed clean. Younger without makeup. More vulnerable. I made her eggs. Toast. Orange juice. Set it before her like an offering. She ate slowly. Mechanically. Fuel rather than pleasure. Her phone sat silent on the counter. No buzz. No vibration. The relief visible in her shoulders. At 9:45 we got in the car. Margaret waved from the porch. The cat beside her. Both watching us go. Nora's office was downtown. 10th floor. Glass and chrome. Views of the bay. Her assistant showed us into a conference room. Water. Coffee. Tissues already on the table. Nora entered at 10 exactly. Charcoal suit. Steel briefcase. That same calm competence. She sat across from Grace. Opened a legal pad. Clicked her pen. Tell me everything, she said. Start from the beginning. Grace talked for an hour. The marriage. The money. The control. The small cruelties that grew over years. How Trevor made decisions without asking. Spent money they didn't have. Blamed her when things went wrong. How she apologized constantly. Made herself smaller. Disappeared piece by piece. Nora took notes. Asked questions. Gentle but thorough. Building a case. Gathering evidence. Finally she set down her pen. Looked at Grace directly. This is textbook financial abuse, she said. Emotional manipulation. You have grounds. Strong ones. Grace nodded. Tears tracking down her cheeks. Again. Always. I'll file tomorrow, Nora continued. California's a no-fault state. We don't need to prove abuse. But it helps with asset division. What about the house? Grace asked. The one Mom co-signed for. Nora consulted her notes. You'll need to refinance. Buy him out. Or sell and split proceeds. Grace's face fell. I can't afford either. Then you walk away, Nora said. Simply. Cleanly. Sometimes you leave the wreckage behind. Grace looked at me. Lost. Seeking permission. Or forgiveness. Or both. You'll be okay, I told her. You'll rebuild. Different. Better. Nora closed her briefcase. I'll send paperwork by Friday. Review it. Sign it. We'll move forward. She stood. Shook Grace's hand. Then mine. Eleanor, she said. What you did took courage. Both of you. We left at noon. Drove to a cafe near the water. Sat outside. Ordered sandwiches neither of us wanted. The bay stretched blue and calm. Sailboats drifting. Gulls working the pier. Grace stared at the water. I gave up my house, she said. My marriage. Everything. You gave up a prison, I corrected. There's a difference. She considered that. Turned it over. Testing for truth. What do I do now? She asked. Same question. Different weight. You stay with Margaret, I said. Find work. See a therapist. File the papers. Build something new. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. 2 weeks passed like water through sand. Slow, gradual, changing the landscape quietly. Margaret's house became a sanctuary. Yellow walls, morning light, the cat's predictable routines. Grace slept late those first days. 14 hours. 16. The body reclaiming what stress had stolen. She'd emerge around noon, hair tangled, eyes puffy, still beautiful in that wounded way. Margaret would have lunch ready. Soup, salad, something simple, healing food for complicated pain. They'd sit in the kitchen, talk about nothing, the weather, the garden, which neighbor was feuding with whom. I watched Grace rebuild, piece by small piece, like coral growing, invisible until suddenly there. Day 3 she asked to borrow Margaret's car. Drove to the house she'd shared with Trevor. Came back with boxes, clothes, books, photos of her parents, things that were hers before they became theirs. Trevor's truck wasn't there, she reported. Relief and disappointment mixing. He'd already moved on. Or moved out. Same thing probably. Day 5 Nora's paperwork arrived. Thick envelope. Official seals. Words like petitioner and irreconcilable differences. Grace signed everything. Didn't cry. Just methodical. Checking boxes. Initialing pages. Ending 18 years with blue ink. I witnessed her signature. Made it legal. Made it real. Day 7 she found a job. Coffee shop near the beach. Morning shift. Minimum wage plus tips. Not what she'd done before. Before she'd managed an office. Handled accounts. Made decent money. But Trevor had poisoned that well. Called her boss. Made scenes. Got her fired twice. The coffee shop didn't care about drama. Just wanted someone reliable. Showed up on time. Grace could do that. Would do that. Needed to do that. Day 9 Marcus called. Everything good at the house. Yamamoto's are model tenants. Treated like a temple. Relief washed through me. Warm. Necessary. The gamble paying off. He asked if I wanted updates. Photos. Proof the house survived. No, I said. I trust them. And I trust you. Day 12 Grace came home different. Lighter somehow. She'd had coffee after her shift with a coworker. Just coffee, she said quickly. Like I might judge. Like she needed permission. Good, I told her. You're allowed to have coffee. With anyone you want. She smiled. Small. Uncertain. Testing that freedom. Day 14 arrived cool and overcast. Marine layer thick as wool. The world softened. Muted. Margaret made pancakes. Real ones. From scratch. Blueberries from the farmer's market. We ate slowly. Savoring. 3 women around a small table. No rush. No agenda. Grace's phone rang. Unknown number. She looked at it. Didn't answer. Let it go to voicemail. Progress, Margaret noted. Few weeks ago you'd have answered immediately. Grace nodded. Scraped her fork across the plate. I'm learning, she said. The voicemail came through. She listened. Her face hardened. Trevor's lawyer, she reported. Wants to negotiate terms. Called me unreasonable. Margaret snorted. Unreasonable. That's rich. What did Nora say? I asked. Don't engage. Let the lawyers talk. Stay clear of the blast zone. Smart woman, Margaret said. The afternoon stretched long. I walked to the beach. Let the gray day match my mood. 2 weeks in Margaret's house. 2 weeks of my own house occupied by strangers. 2 weeks of displacement. Necessary displacement. Chosen displacement. But displacement nonetheless. The sand was cold. Damp. The tide coming in, erasing footprints, starting fresh. Pelicans worked the surf line, diving, surfacing, continuing their eternal work. Henry used to say pelicans were proof of persistence. Ugly birds, ungainly, but they survived, thrived even. He meant it as encouragement. During the lean years, when contracts fell through, when money got tight, keep diving, he'd say. Eventually you catch something. I sat on a driftwood log, watched the water, let memories wash over me. Building the house, every decision, every compromise, every triumph, the way Henry insisted on that window angle. So the morning light hit just right. How he'd stand there, coffee in hand, watching the sun paint the water. I'd built that house for him. For us. For a future we thought we'd have more time to enjoy. Cancer stole that time. Took him before we'd lived there a full year. And Trevor tried to steal what remained. The memory, the sanctuary, the promise. But I'd stopped him, redirected the force, protected what mattered. My phone buzzed. Marcus again. Texting this time. Photo attachment. I opened it. The living room. Immaculate. Sunlight streaming through clean windows. Fresh flowers on the table. The Yamamotos had added small touches. Respectful. Beautiful. Making it temporarily theirs while honoring it was mine. Another photo. The patio. Hiroshi and Keiko having coffee. The children reading. Everyone peaceful. Content. That's what the house was for. That peace. That light. That gentle occupation. Not Trevor's chaos. Not destruction masked as celebration. Not disrespect painted as family. I texted back. Thank you for this. Means more than you know. His reply came quick. Lease ends in 7 days. They're asking about extending. Interested? I stared at the message. 7 days. Then I could go home. Reclaim my space. Return to normal. But what was normal now? Without Henry. Without Grace living nearby. Without the illusion of family harmony. I typed slowly. Let me think about it. I'll let you know in 2 days. Fair enough, he replied. I walked back to Margaret's. The fog lifting slightly. Edges of sun breaking through. Grace was in the living room. Laptop open. Filling out applications. Apartment listings. Budget spreadsheets. Making plans. Taking steps. Building something new. She looked up when I entered. How was the beach? Gray, I said. Peaceful. Clarifying. She nodded. Understood. Went back to her screen. Margaret appeared with tea. Set cups down. Joined us. 7 days left on the lease, I said. Marcus asked about extending. Grace's head snapped up. Are you going to? I don't know yet, I admitted. Part of me wants my house back. Part of me isn't ready. Margaret sipped her tea. What's stopping you? Henry, I said. Simply. Honestly. That house was ours. Going back alone feels wrong. But you'll always be alone there, Grace said softly. Not cruel. Just true. Dad's gone. The words landed. Heavy. Undeniable. Maybe that's what I need to accept, I said. The aloneness. The next chapter. Whatever that looks like. We sat quiet. Drinking tea. Each woman with her own grief. Her own rebuilding. Outside, the sun finally broke through. Turning everything gold. Promising nothing. Just shining. That evening I called Marcus. Told him no extension. 7 days. Then I'm coming home. He confirmed. Scheduled the transition. Promised another deep clean. Fresh flowers. Everything ready. I hung up. Stared at Margaret's yellow walls. Her comfortable clutter. Her generous refuge. "Thank you," I said to her. "For all this. For us." Margaret waved it off. "That's what family does. The real kind, not the obligated kind." Grace looked between us, eyes wet. "I'm so lucky," she whispered, "to have you both." "Luck had nothing to do with it," Margaret said. "You chose to stay. That took courage." Grace nodded, wiped her eyes, went back to her laptop. Searching, planning, choosing. 7 days stretched ahead. Then home. Then whatever came next. The unknowing sat heavy, but not unbearable. Just real. Like fog. Like tides. Like the slow work of healing. If you're watching this, subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. Day 21 arrived clear and bright. The marine layer burned off early. Left the sky scrubbed clean. Blue like Henry's favorite shirt. I woke before dawn. Packed my small bag. The few things I'd brought to Margaret's. Toiletries. 2 changes of clothes. Henry's book of tide tables. Everything else waited at home. In the vault. Behind steel. Grace was already awake. Sitting in the kitchen. Coffee steaming. Eyes on the window. "Big day," she said when I entered. "For both of us," I replied. Her first day off. My first day back. Parallel returns to different normals. Margaret shuffled in. Bathrobe. Slippers. Hair still pinned from sleep. She poured coffee. Joined us at the table. The 3 of us sat quiet. Comfortable silence. The kind you earn through crisis. Through healing. Outside, a hummingbird worked Margaret's feeder. Frantic wings. Impossible stillness. Both at once. "You're welcome back anytime," Margaret said. "Both of you. Doors always open." Grace reached across. Squeezed her hand. "You saved me," she whispered. Margaret shook her head. "You saved yourself. I just provided the location." At 8:30 Marcus called. "Everything's ready. Yamamoto's checked out this morning. Cleaning crew just finished. House is yours." His voice warm. Professional. Proud of what we'd accomplished. "I'll be there at 10, I told him. Grace drove me. Margaret stayed behind. Gave us space for whatever came next. The coastal road wound through eucalyptus and sage. Familiar curves. Known territory. Coming home. Grace's hands tight on the wheel. Nervous, though she tried to hide it. "You okay?" I asked. "I haven't been back since," she said. "Since that morning. When everything exploded. It's just a house," I told her. "Wood and glass. It can't hurt you." But she knew better. Houses hold memories. Good and bad. They remember everything. We turned onto my street. The ocean appearing between houses. That first glimpse always magic. Grace slowed. Pulled into my driveway. Gravel crunching. The sound of arrival. The house stood perfect. Glass gleaming. Cedar glowing. Bougainvillea blooming pink against pale walls. Like nothing had happened. Like Trevor's chaos was a bad dream. Erased. Forgotten. But I remembered. Grace remembered. The house remembered too. Marcus's SUV sat near the entrance. He emerged as we parked. Smiled. Extended his hand. "Welcome home, Ms. Grant." I shook his hand. Felt the weight of those words. Home. After 3 weeks. After everything. "The Yamamotos left you something," he said. On the kitchen counter. We walked to the door together. Grace hesitant. Hanging back. Like crossing a threshold she'd been exiled from. I opened the door. Stepped inside. Breathed. The house smelled clean. Lemon. Lavender. Salt air through open windows. No beer. No grease. No chaos. Everything in place. Exactly as it should be. Better somehow. Grace followed slowly. eyes scanning, searching for damage, for reminders, for ghosts. The living room stood pristine. Floors gleaming, furniture arranged perfectly, fresh flowers on the table. White lilies, elegant, respectful, no red cups, no stains, no evidence of violation. Grace's shoulders dropped, relief visible, audible even, a breath she'd been holding for weeks. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Marcus led us to the kitchen, pointed to the counter. A wooden box sat there. Simple, handcrafted, dark wood polished to a glow. Beside it, a note on cream paper. Elegant handwriting, English careful and precise. I picked up the note. Read aloud. "Mrs. Grant, thank you for sharing your beautiful home. We felt your husband's presence in the light, in the morning quiet, in the care you built into every corner. We hope these small gifts honor his memory. With deepest respect, the Yamamoto family." My throat tightened. Grace moved closer, looked at the box. I opened it carefully. Inside, folded paper. Dozens of pieces, each one a crane. Origami. Perfect. Delicate. Traditional good luck, Marcus explained. "They made them for you." The children helped. I lifted one out. The paper was pages from tourist brochures. Maps. Guides to La Jolla. Repurposed into art. Into blessing. Grace picked up another. Tears tracking down her face. "They made these for you, Mom. For Dad." I counted them silently. Not all. Just enough. 12 cranes. One for each month Henry and I had in this house. Before cancer. Before everything. "They knew," I said. "Somehow they knew." Marcus smiled. "Mrs. Yamamoto asked about your husband. I told her about the house. How you built it together. She understood." I set the crane back gently. Closed the box. Held it against my chest. "Thank you," I told Marcus. "For everything. For making this work. For protecting this place." He nodded. "My pleasure. Truly." He handed me the keys. Fresh copies. Everything reset. New codes. New access. Clean slate. "Call if you need anything," he said. Then left. Discreet as always. The house settled around us. Grace and me, mother and daughter. Both changed. Both healing. I walked through each room. Touching things. The piano uncovered. Canvas removed. Keys waiting. Silent but ready. The photos still in the vault. Waiting to be restored. Or not. Maybe some memories belonged protected. Sacred. Separate. Grace followed me upstairs. To the master bedroom. Where Trevor claimed the view. Where everything started. The bed made perfect. White linens. Hospital corners. No trace of occupation. I stood at the window. Looked out at the Pacific. Endless. Patient. Unchanged by human drama. Grace joined me. We stood side by side. Watching the water. The pelicans. The light doing what light does. "I'm sorry," she said again. "For all of it. For bringing him here. For not seeing sooner." "Stop," I said gently. "We're done with apologies. Both of us. Moving forward now." She nodded. Wiped her eyes. "What will you do now?" she asked. "Live here," I said. "Alone. Learn what that means. What that looks like." "And me?" she asked. "Where do I fit?" "Anywhere you want," I told her. "But on your terms. Not mine. Not Trevor's. Yours." She smiled. Small. Genuine. Growing. We went back downstairs. I made tea. Real tea. In my own kitchen. With my own kettle. Grace sat at the counter. Watched me move through familiar motions. Coming back to myself. To this space. To this life. The doorbell rang. Soft. Polite. Not Trevor's assault. Actual courtesy. I opened it. A delivery person. Holding a plant. Bamboo in a ceramic pot. Simple. Elegant. Card attached. I read it. From the Yamamotos. For new beginnings and continued strength. Grace helped me find a spot. Near the window. Where morning light would reach it. The bamboo stood straight. Green. Alive. Growing. Like us, Grace said. Starting over. Different but okay. Better than okay, I corrected. Stronger. Wiser. Free. That afternoon I walked to the vault. Opened the steel door. Looked at all I'd protected. The photos. The albums. Henry's things. Grace's baby clothes. Memories wrapped and sealed. I carried one box up. Just one. The rest could wait. Or stay. Or be sorted slowly. Inside the box, Henry's ceramic vase. The pieces I'd collected. Still broken. Still precious. I set them on my work table. Found glue. Patience. Time. Kintsugi, Grace said. The Japanese art. Fixing broken things with gold. I looked at her. When did you learn that? Today, she said. Googled it. Thought it might help. Both of us. She was right. Broken things don't have to stay broken. They can be mended. Made different. Made beautiful through repair. I started piecing Henry's vase together. Slowly. Carefully. Each fragment finding its place. Grace watched. Then helped. Holding pieces. Testing fits. Learning this quiet work. The sun moved across the room. Light painting everything gold. The way Henry designed it. Outside, pelicans dove. The ocean rolled. The world continued its ancient rhythms. And inside, two women rebuilt. With glue and patience and time. Not fixing what broke, but making something new from the pieces. Something stronger. Something honest. Something earned. The house breathed around us. Accepting. Forgiving. Ready. We worked until sunset. Until the vase held shape again. Imperfect. Visible repairs. Beautiful anyway. Grace stood back. Looked at our work. It's not the same, she observed. No, I agreed. It's better. Now it has a story. She nodded. Understanding. We all do now. That night I slept in my own bed. In my own house. Windows open to salt air. Henry's book on the nightstand. The vase on the dresser. Waiting for gold to fill the cracks. Tomorrow I'd call Margaret. Thank her properly. Maybe invite her here. Show her what we'd protected. Tomorrow Grace would work. Serve coffee. Build her new life. One shift at a time. Tomorrow I'd live here. Alone. With memories. With grief. With strength I'd forgotten I possessed. But tonight, I simply rested. In the house we built. In the light that learned my name. And somewhere, I swear I heard Henry laugh. That warm sound. Proud. Approving. Free. The ocean kept its rhythm. The stars appeared. The house held me gently. And I was home. Finally. Fully. Fearlessly home.